Hi, I'm Tyson.
I'm Colin.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Adam. And we're the Gamesmiths, and we're here to learn how to play Search Party. To kick us off, Ryan's got the rules for us.
All right. Search Party is a search and find game for 6 missing gems. Form a party of 2 to 6 players. We're going with 4. Pick your items and be prepared to go on a journey. Work together to bring back the gems safely home to the base before the land falls apart and time runs out. But beware, there are many bad things out there, such as traps, storms, badlands, and even a bear.
Hey, bear.
So we are going to lay out, that's not the right one, this is the right one. We're going to lay out these, we have all these different tiles here, and we'll go over them a little more later. These are all like the different land tiles and gem tiles and all kinds of different stuff. And we're going to lay them out in just a 6x6 grid here. And this is going to be, there's a base one actually. Pretty sure it's in here. It's not. If you find the base card, I thought it was in there. So we're going to start by putting the base card. Make sure I don't have it. Start by putting the base card. Actually, I'm just
Base.
There you go. So the base card is going to go in the upper left-hand corner, and then we're going to deal out just a row of, 6x6 cards. So we'll have a grid, essentially, that will make up our board. I'm not going to do it now because I want to show you guys the cards as opposed to having them all face down. So we're going to go through the cards, but just know we're just going to have a big grid laid out of cards. So I'll lay out a few just for funsies. Let's face up. But, so we have a little bit of a visual aid. The objective will be to collect all 6 gems and return them to base to win. So this is actually a cooperative game. So we're all going to be working together to bring back the gems, and we need to, we succeed or fail together, basically. Here, if you want to finish dealing those out. I changed my mind because there's a breakdown of them in here. So we actually have these placeholders for each of the gems. So 6 of the cards that we're laying down here are going to be randomly the gem cards. We have placeholders for each one, so we can mark when we get them and we know what they all are and everything like that. So we'll have that there. So the goal is to collect all gems. In order to collect a gem, there's a requirement. As soon as a player collects a gem, they get a reward. Except for the white gem, you have to return it to the base to get your reward, and the white gem is the last one that you can collect, and you win the game when you get it. So there are 6 gems: blue, yellow, green, black, and white. After we get them all, after you've collected all except the white, then we get the white, we bring it back, we win the game. The other, we can also lose if we have some event cards here that I'll go over, and if we run out of event cards before the game ends, or before we get all the gems back, we lose. So we've set up the game board. If playing 4 or more players, we're going to take out the help event cards and put them away. So I don't know if those were pulled out ahead of time. No, they weren't. If you can find any that say help and pull them out. And then put those face down. And we're then going to put the 6 cards down. We put the breaking land card, which I just had. Here it is. Excuse me. So starting at turn 6, the game is going to, the land is going to start crumbling, and basically the board is going to start disappearing. And that'll start happening after the sixth event is played, and we'll go over that in a little bit. What exactly happens? So. Once you have everything set up, you'll pick a player to be the starting player. This is collaborative. And And we'll get an option to take turns picking a food, one item or a food token. So there are some items here. We have the teleporter, the trap detector, binoculars, a shovel. You know, you can kind of look. We'll pass these around. You can kind of look at them. But they're all things that will just kind of help us on our journey. And we each get to take turns picking one of these or a food token. You'll notice each of you have this little guy in front of you. It's a numbered track from 1 to 8. That's your hunger meter. That's basically going to tick down every turn. And if it gets to 0, you starve to death and are removed from the game. So there's food.
Can I eat Adam?
No, not
Just his arm.
explicitly. Right, you can eat parts of Adam.
Oh, good.
So there's food tokens, which will refill your hunger, and also going back to base will reset your hunger back to full. So we're going to take turns taking items. Excuse me.
Bless you.
And each player can only have up to 5 things. This includes emergency tokens, food tokens, items, and gems. You can only have 2 special items unless you have the green gem reward. And if you get something that puts you over your limit, you just pick which one you want to discard. So if you have 6, pick your 5 favorite. So once we're all set up, we'll pick a starting player, and there are 6 steps to each round, and we'll just kind of keep going through the rounds until the game ends one way or the other. So the first thing that happens is breaking land. The second thing that happens is curse land, and we'll go over those. Third thing is player actions. Fourth is decrement hunger level or restore if at base. So tick down or tick up your hunger depending on where you're at. 5 is the bear moves, and then 6 is the event card. So breaking land, the land will begin to break apart after a certain number of rounds. Since there are 4 of us, that will be the 6th. And so we have the event. This is the event deck.
Yeah.
So we're going to go 6 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and put this breaking land here. And then eventually we'll get to this card. You know, we'll play these 6 events out, and we'll get to the breaking land reminder, which means the land needs to start breaking. So at the beginning of this turn, the first time this is up, because remember the last thing we do at the end of a turn is an event card. So we'll peel an event card, that'll end turn 6, and then turn 7 will start with breaking land. And you will need to one second. So at the beginning of the round, if the breaking land marker is on a tile, you must relocate the tile so it will make up the outside boundary of the land. So in other words, if this, we'll have, I don't know what our breaking tile marker will be, but it can be this red thing for now. And so this, we'll say this is the breaking land. So then we will take this card and move it somewhere where it's on the outside, where it makes up the outer boundary of the land. So like here. And that just makes moving around the board more difficult, essentially. If there is no breaking land to resolve, then you will roll the dice for the row and the column to determine what breaks next, and place the marker on that tile.
Oh, so every round, no matter what, something's going to break, whether or not we have a tile that says breaking land on it.
Well, the breaking land reminder is just going to be, once we get to this point, it's just going to keep breaking. So it just happens.
I was just assuming that some of these tiles say breaking lands or something, or that it's always resolved by the die.
It is resolved by the die. So if there's a breaking marker on a tile, you relocate. So in the beginning of the round, if there's a breaking land marker on a tile, you must relocate that tile so it'll make up the outer boundary of the land. So let's just say turn 6.
How did that breaking tile?
That token
Right,
was
we'll get there. So let's assume it's not there. So the first time it's not there, nothing happens. So if there is no breaking land to resolve, then we'll roll a dice for the row and column. So I'll go 6, and that'll be row 6, and then column 4 here. And I'll place the tile there. If there's no tile here, then nothing will happen. So if this tile's already broken off and it goes there, nothing
okay.
happens. We just don't put it down for this time. You can remove the marker by ending your turn there. So if you end your turn on the place that has the breaking tile, you can remove this. And then you're just supposed to put the breaking land reminder underneath the top event card when you're done. Like that, to remind you. So then
So you're
at
always
the end,
okay.
event, and then, oh, we'll do the event, and oh yeah, breaking land reminder. And then we'll resolve breaking land, and as soon as we resolve breaking land, we put it underneath there.
Okay.
Phase number 2 is curse land. There is one tile in here that's a curse land, and it reads, as long as this card is face up, lose half the number of players' hunger levels at the beginning of each, rounded up at the beginning of each round. So if the curse land is up, I read that as everybody loses half of their hunger.
That's what it sounds to me.
Every round.
At the beginning of each round. So if the curse land is active,
hurts.
place the curse card reminder underneath the top event face up after you're done. So that's here. Oh wait, I had a curse card reminder. Here it is. There's a curse land reminder. So that's also going to go here too. So once if both of those things are, you'll flip over. It actually goes underneath. So then the land will break. Then we'll deal with the curse.
So if you do you round up or round down? So if you have
Round up.
Okay.
So there is a land that if explored and remains face up, the following effect will continue to happen. As long as this is face up, lose half the number of players' hunger levels at the beginning of each round. If the curse land is still active, place the curse card reminder, like I said there. So then third thing is player move. So before these, for the first, if those aren't in play, then the first thing we do each time is move. Each player has 4 actions that they can take. Starting with the first player, they can use 1 action to do any of the following in any order. Move. You may move 1 tile adjacent to where you are, but cannot move orthogonally. So I think you have to move diagonally,
That's what it sounded like.
but I'm not sure if that works.
But cannot move orthogonally. You may move 1 tile adjacent to where you are, but cannot. So if I'm here, I have to move here.
I think it might be you can't, right. But then in that case, there's no way to
Ever get
land on
into
that
those,
spot.
right?
So I think they might mean can't move diagonally.
Diagonally.
I think that might just be a typo.
I do too.
So we're going to go ahead and assume there that you can't move diagonally.
Unless there's things that allow you to
Correct. Unless we see
land
something
on
else.
that shifts you to the adjacent tile.
Right. So I think that might be, I think that might be a typo.
But if that's depended randomly, it may not have. Yeah, diagonally seems.
Yeah. Explore. If the tile you are on is face down, you may explore it by flipping it face up. Any effect is triggered immediately. And those we're just going to run into, but it
Wait,
can
how
be good
many
stuff or
actions do you
bad
get?
stuff. Huh?
How many actions do you get?
4. So moving 1 space is 1 action. So you
Got
can
it.
move 4 spaces, you can move 3 and do a thing,
Got it.
however.
Move, explore.
Explore, so that just means whatever. Everybody's
Flip
going
it.
to have, these little guys, so 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to explore and I'll flip it over, and oh, I found the green gem. Once flipped up, there must be at least 2 fish caught by any player. If this gets flipped down again, the number of fish a player has caught is reset. The reward is gain 1 item, and you can have up to 3 items now.
So it becomes a memory game at this point in some ways.
Kind of, yeah, because they can
'Cause
get
that's
flipped
the
back
first
down
step,
or
okay.
moved or whatever. So now there's that, and then there are just some, I don't know where, oh, nailed it. There are river cards. Any player may use a fishing pole on these tiles. And we'll go over that in a bit. But explore. If the tile you're on is face down, you explore the tile by flipping it face up. Any effect is triggered immediately. Use some items will not cost you any action. Those that do will be specified on the item itself. So right here, like teleporter says use one action to either place, pick up, or use the teleporter. Whereas trap detector says if you explored a trap, you won't be affected. So this just happens all the time without using an action, whereas teleporter states use one action. So some items require an action.
And you have a limit of 5 things held, including items?
Correct.
Okay.
So you actually can only hold 2 items.
Oh, okay.
And then the other 3 things that make up your 5 can be
Gems.
emergency tokens, gems, food tokens, stuff
Fish?
like that.
Is
I'm not
fish
sure
an
if you
item?
hold fish.
Well, this indicates that.
I think they turn into food tokens when you get them, but
Oh,
we'll get to that. Consume a food token to gain 5 hunger levels, so you can refill your bar by 5 by eating a food token. Rescue a player that is on a trap tile, which we'll go over, or pick up a gem. If you meet the criteria of the gem tile you're on, you may pick it up for an action. Emergency tokens are free and may be used anytime. After the first player is finished, game player moves on to the next player, continuing all players have performed their actions. When that happened, continue to the next step in the round. Step 4 is lower your hunger level or restore it to full if you're at base. So move your hunger level down by 1. If it ever goes to 0, then you are out of the game. If you are at base, though, move the counter up to 8. Bear moves. The bear will not move the same round it is revealed. Any round after that, the bear will move 2 spaces towards the closest player. If there is a tie, the players decide. And 6, draw an event card. Draw the next event card and resolve it. If you cannot draw any more, you lose the game. Repeat steps 1 through 6 until you either win or lose. Here are the gems. I'm not going to read them all out, but they each have a description of
A condition under
their
which you can get
collection,
them.
yeah, and the reward that they give you. We have these placeholder cards so we can track which gems we've collected, and they also have the same information as on the card. So this green gem says you have to catch 2 fish there. This green placeholder says, hey, you're going to need 2 fish for this gem. So we can use these as the markers for the ones we've brought back, and anybody can reference them at any time if they're curious. But they all have different rewards. Yellow gives you an extra turn, green gives you extra items, black gives you 2 food tokens, white wins the game, yada yada. Excuse me. There are the special items. We can go over that. So, like I said at the beginning of the game, we're all basically going to get to pick 1 or 2 special items, or a special item and a food token, however we want to do it. And we'll go over them. We'll read them all then. I don't want to read them all out. But there are things like the fishing pole. You can use that, roll a die, 5+, and you get a food token. So you don't actually get fish. Like I said, you get the food token. Trap detector, if you explore a trap, you're good. Shovel, use 1 action to roll for a column and roll. Go there. Good to get 1 of the gems, but also semi-helpful to cover some distance, escape traps and storm freezes, etc. So there is a gem. 1 of the gems requires that we have the shovel, so it's probably a good idea if somebody takes that. Binoculars let you peek at stuff. Teleporters let you teleport. Blah blah blah. I'm not going to go over all of it. We can look at that as we're playing. Then there are the land and river tiles. They are all described here, but they're also described on their card. The base is our base. Shifting land. Take this tile and move it to an adjacent tile. Cursed land, we've discussed that. Thieves in the land, put 1 gem back that is not stored at base. Rough passing, so it just says there are some blank lands that do nothing. There are some that cause you to lose turns, all kinds of stuff. Then there are 5 river tiles like we've discussed for fishing. And then there are opposition tiles like earthquake, storm freeze, trap, and bear. Those are the big ones. Earthquake is going to engulf everyone within a 1 square radius to the card. Any player who's caught in that basically loses their turn. Storm freeze, you'll row for a column and a row, and it'll freeze out the column and row. Trap, you're stuck in a trap and you cannot perform an action until you have another player rescue you, move off the tile some other means, use an emergency token, or if it gets flipped down, it will release the player. The bear, when activated, the bear will not move the same turn. When it is, like I said, it starts moving 2 every time. If it lands on the same tile as a player, you have to roll a 5 or more to escape. If not, you lose 1 food or use the emergency token to stay alive. In the case of being multiple players on the same tile, all must roll. If you want to cross paths with the bear, you must roll and escape as well. So you can't just walk through the bear tile. So basically, if the bear catches you,
Bad news bear.
you're dead unless you roll a 5+ or have a food token or emergency token. So the emergency tokens give you, get you out of traps, get you away from the bear, and lets you kind of ignore some bad effects here and there.
And dead's dead, no revival, right?
As far as I can tell, yes. You're out of the game. So I think we're all trying. I think this is, I think the kind of the vibe of the game is we're all running around trying to save the day here, and people are dying and collapsing, and it's just going to kind of end, you
Right.
know, with
One way or
the
the
earth in
other, yeah.
shambles, and hopefully we manage to save the gems. So okay, sorry, I closed that on accident. There are some helpful tiles. There's like a lost son. If you can reunite the lost son with his mother, you get 3 food tokens. There's some that just give you food, and then there's also a trading post that lets you trade one of your items for another item, or 1 item for 2 food tokens, or 5 hunger levels for 1 item. Then we have the event cards, which we'll kind of go through as we go through them. And that's about it. So does anybody have any specific questions? Or
Refresh me on the actions. Move, explore. Sometimes a equipment or whatever you're using requires an action.
Yep. And
Consume food.
help. Move, explore, use item,
Rescue,
eat
yeah.
food, rescue a player in a trap, or pick up a gem.
Okay. And how do you rescue again? You just go to him and say, I'm rescuing you?
Yes.
It's not a specific card or something.
No, you just have to use one of your actions, and that's specified on the trap card. It says you can't move unless someone comes and just uses an action to get you out.
Got it.
Is there a way to get rid of the cursed tile?
I think maybe some of the items might do it, but I don't.
It does talk about while it's in play. So I would
Yeah,
assume
while
there's
it gets
gotta be-
flipped
yeah,
over.
yeah.
So,
So then,
yeah, like matches will let you flip a tile face down. One time use, burn a tile down by being on the same tile. Use 1 action to flip it face down.
Okay.
So yeah, we can go into the individual.
okay, so to start the game, we're
Things.
each going to draw. You said we each get a card and a food, or
Randomly
2
determine
cards.
who goes first.
Yeah.
etc. Yeah.
Or just pick, because it's a collaborative thing. So
Yeah.
we just we'll figure out who goes first, and then we'll all take turns going through and doing some item shopping.
Okay.
And then after that, we'll go ahead and
Win the game.
Move around and start
yeah,
flipping
playing.
stuff.
Yep.
And what triggers an event again?
End of
Every
every of
round.
all of our turns.
Okay.
Each round, there's an event at the end of each round.
Got it.
So after all the players go.
Got it.
Yeah.
Anything else? I think it's pretty
No.
straightforward.
Good.
Cool. All right. So those are the rules. We'll see you in the game.